Good morning, Eagles. This month's What's Brewing teacher feature revisits a topic we covered last December, social emotional learning. As Megan mentioned last year, SEL is one of the most important things we can do. As educator and blogger Dwayne Reed states, students have to Maslow before they can bloom. That means until we address students' physical and emotional needs, we're not going to ignite passion and discovery in them. You've probably heard a lot about SEL lately. Our building leadership team and student services team are working really hard to spread the word about the importance of SEL. You might even be focusing on SEL as your SLO. As we look for ways to increase students' sense of belonging to our Lakes community, many teachers are being intentional in their approach to social emotional learning. Today we're hearing from science teachers Michael Tobin and Callie Tillett, who both use concrete, intentional strategies to build a sense of belonging and community in their classrooms.
So the strategy that I use in the beginning of classes is called connection question. And basically what it is an open-ended question just to get students talking to one another before class starts. It's my time to take attendance. In the past I've done warm-up sheets, but I thought this year I wanted to do something which was a little less like, hey, write this down, and a little bit more of building classroom climate and having them talk to one another, because in biology they're working in groups so often that it helps for them to be able to talk to everyone and to find their commonalities when they might not have expected to have similar interests or ideas about something. So sometimes they're just silly questions like, would you rather super jump and not be able to super land, or like run through walls but only 90% of the time? And so they love talking about things like that and just like being really passionate about their viewpoint, even though like who cares either way. But sometimes they talk a little bit more about specific things that kind of relate to the class and they don't even know it until we bring it back later in the class period. Like, how would you define a sandwich? And it's like, is a burrito a sandwich? And then we talk about, like, in biology, how do we define a species and how there's some overlap in concepts, and we can bring it back to kind of our arguments in the beginning of the day. So sometimes they talk about things that are serious, like how they feel like they belong in the school, and sometimes it's just like waffles or pancakes, but no matter what, it's getting them talking, and it's a chance for class to not start off so abruptly, to kind of ease them into the class and get them comfortable being there. It increases a sense of belonging because everyone realizes how they connect to one another, they realize how they connect to their teacher, and they're able to relate to people they might not have realized they could relate to before.
So some of the SEL strategies I use in my classroom, I think one of them is just really trying to use active listening in the class. So whether it's during connection questions or during an opener or just when the kids have questions in general anytime in the class, if they're talking, trying to kind of parrot back what they said. So, you know, so you think this and this and this, or so you're asking, you know, how to find the number of electrons when you know the number of protons, or just kind of repeating back what they say and making sure that I'm understanding either their question or their answer correctly. That's one of the strategies I use, and I know some of the students have said that it like helps them to feel heard, like I'm actually listening to them. So that's one of the strategies that I use. Another one is when I do see kids having behavior issues in class, whether that's kind of outspoken issues or just not apathy, not doing anything in class, to always try to think what's behind the behavior, and like that's my first question that I ask. Because most of the time I've learned that it's not really about me, and it's not necessarily even about my class. Most likely something has happened earlier in the day or something's happened at home that has stressed them out, and then that behavior is coming out in my classroom. And so just approaching any behaviors with asking the kid a question like, what's going on today? This isn't like you, I think really helps to immediately make it about me wanting to help the student, and often then I'll get that buy-in from them to keep trying. Treating the next day as a fresh start. So when they come in the room, hey, how's it going? How was your weekend? If I know they were up to something recently, like something good, ask them about it, and just completely ignore the fact that happened, that behavior happened the day before, and just that fresh start, I think really has helped build relationships with those kids in the past that I'm not going to hold a grudge, and we're going to start fresh the next day. and hopefully have a great day. Another one, I make my groups really intentional in class, so I try to put different personalities together and different academic strengths together in groups, and I intentionally do not let my kids pick their groups, which they hate, but I've found over the years that I think it creates a really awesome classroom climate when I change their groups every 4 to 6 weeks, about every unit, and I find that by the end of the year, everybody's worked with pretty much everybody in the class. They all know each other's names, and they've learned that they have shared interests and shared abilities, and that they can work together. And I find that that really creates a good classroom culture in the end, because everybody gets to know each other well. A few other things are brain breaks. So if I'm finding all the kids are starting to fall asleep, or everybody's looking really bored, I'll just have them all stand up and we'll play Would You Rather, or we'll play Four Corners for literally like 2 or 3 minutes. Or, you know, if everyone's coming in and complaining that they're stressed out all day, we'll do the snowball fight and they can write down what they're stressed about and throw it around the room. And it doesn't have to take very long, and I found that when I do those things, I then get more buy-in from them the rest of class, and sometimes we actually finish class earlier because I took that 2 to 3 minute break to let them just kind of relax and get moving, get their blood moving, get their brains moving again. And I think they really appreciate that too, that I'm watching them and I'm seeing how they're feeling and I'm responding to that, and not just, you know, forcing them to keep listening to me when they're bored out of their minds.
Big thanks to Michael and Callie for sharing their strategies with us. Are you doing something cool in your classroom? Would you like to be featured in a What's Brewing teacher feature? Reach out to us at tearoom@chsd117.org, tweet to us at tearoomlchs, or drop by C235A and chat us up. Until next time, Eagles, we'll see you in the tea room.